So, over the past several days, I have been plotting a very large project on the 1.6 server, and it will require, among other things, a very large quantity of redstone. Now, I don't have a lot of redstone. I use a lot of redstone. So I finally caved to Ghostwalker's pestering and decided to finally design and build a witch farm. He's been asking for this for a long time because he's been wanting glowstone but can't be asked to actually look it up himself. So here we are, I guess. So behind me, you can see the finished product, all in iron blocks, because that's what the first thing I grabbed. It utilizes 3 spawning platforms, 9 by 7 blocks. As it turns out, this is actually too large for 1.6. It's the right size for later versions when in 1.8 the bounding box was expanded. However, turns out this isn't the case in 1.6. I'll do some research later to figure out exactly how large it is in 1.6, but for now, building this in this version will generate some extra mobs, but at least 2 of the floors will generate witches, and a lot of them. So the actual construction is very simple. You can see in here is just a number of dispensers lining the walls. Each of them has a water bucket in it. Got some signs down the middle with a drop chute down below. Now all the floors are identical, like so. Right now it just drops into the void to get rid of anything. But you can set up a collection system down below, as I have on the actual server. That collection system will need to be 29 blocks below where the lowest witches spawn. I had to figure this out through trial and error. I could be asked to do the math, so it's 29 blocks below this. Like, they need a 29 block drop. You can just put some hoppers down, collection system, sorting system, what have you. It doesn't matter. But having them all in a 1x9 is relatively convenient. Although if you really wanted to, you could put down at the bottom here something like, this, and flush them all into one block if you really wanted to, but then you'll have to build your system lower, and then you have to spawn proof a larger area, and it's just a whole thing. But that is possible. There we go. So, in order to activate all of these dispensers, we have a number of redstone lines out here on the side. You can see the redstone line starts here. I'll cover this machinery here. Comes around the side. There, behind this is where the dispenser is. Comes around here, and we just have block, torch, to get up to the next level here. I'll do a full tutorial of this farm if people are actually interested in it, but as it stands, I don't see demand being high enough for that. So the line just comes over, and then up, and then over, and then up, and then over. And it's the exact same mirrored on the other side. You can see. So one thing I will note is that if you build this in an actual world, you will need to either light up or spawn proof this, because stuff will spawn on redstone. Don't make the same mistake I have like 80 bajillion times before. But anyway, now let's have a look at this monstrosity here. So all of the redstone signals propagate from this block here, through this one here, and output through these repeaters. The dispensers need to activate twice per every flush. Once, in order to put out the water, and a second time in order to remove the water. And both of these things need to happen relatively quickly, like one after the other. However, usually you want a long wait between flushes. So that's where this comes in. What this does is on the rising edge of this clock, I'll show it here in a second, but on the rising edge of this clock, it will fire once, and then it will fire again after a delay by this very, very tiny little comparator clock here, or comparator delay creator thing. So let's see it in action. So I flick this lever, and the signal will very slowly decay. This takes like 30 or 40 seconds. I don't know. I didn't time it. The length here you can tailor if you're building this. Right now I have 9 comparators, but you can pick any. You can see when it goes out, it's about to go out. Wait for it. Wait for it. There it goes. So on the rising edge, it triggers them all. There they go. Then, and it'll trigger them again. And then it will wait for the next duration. And that's what this torch is here for, is just to repower the clock once it's, or repower the circuit here once it is all turned off. But you just flick this lever to power it all, make sure it all stays powered to turn the whole thing off. Yeah, I'll give a detailed breakdown of this system, but suffice to say, this was I don't want to say a nightmare to figure out how to do it, because I had a pretty large circuit that was able to do it, because the actual concept's pretty simple, but getting it to work, like getting it compact, was kind of a nightmare. And I spent way longer on this than I really should have, but I am pretty proud of it. It's in a 4x4x3 area here. And just, it looks complicated, it looks big brained. It really kind of is a terrible circuit, all things considered. Yeah. But yeah, you can see this top one is the dropper facing down, this bottom one is the dropper facing up. And all this block is here is to prevent this from connecting to that. Yeah, I'll give a detailed breakdown of this if I ever do a tutorial. But suffice to say, that's what this does. It creates two pulses, one after the other, in order to put down the water and then remove the water. This will flush any mobs down the drain into whatever collection area. So, just a pretty simple thing I cobbled together. I tried, oh boy did I try, more complex designs. The problem is shifting floors don't work properly because you can't put trap doors without a supporting block. Like, most of the shifting floor designs have trap doors here. Like, there's one here and one here and one here to prevent the mouse from getting pushed side to side. But you can't do that in this version. So this was really the simple solution. Just water drop shoot was fine for my purposes. Because really, we don't need like absolute maximum every little drop of efficiency we need, even if the water kind of hampers spawning, even if the slot in the middle doesn't help, that's fine. And if all your purposes is just to get AFK overnight and get yourself a bunch of stuff and you don't need massive amount, industrial quantities, this will do just fine. Now let's hop onto the server and have a look at what was actually built. Alright, so here we are on the actual server. This really did not take as long as I thought it would to build. And well, it looks like there's a slime over there in the thing. Yeah, it's a thing. This will spawn other mobs, unfortunately, but yeah, it's the price of doing business. And it actually adds a little bit of extra spice to the drops we get, which I don't know if it's a good thing, but I've chosen to take it as a good thing. I'm going to take the victory where I can get it. I will take my extra rotten flesh and bones, and I will run with it. But anyway, yeah, you can see all of it built out of the ugliest cobblestone, but only the most functional here on the Frame Dropper server. The entire area around it has been spawn-proofed by virtue of being in the middle of an ocean. There was an island back there. It is no longer. You can see the sheep. Yeah, you can see the sheep are still over there. I didn't want to be in F5. There we go. You can see the sheep that once inhabited the island are gone. Lily pads aren't an issue. They can't spawn mobs. Yeah, and as it turns out, there are no caves. Really aren't any caves, as far as I can tell, beneath the surface. So, that means there wasn't a lot of work to do. Normally, witch farms need a big perimeter and all that stuff. But nope, just drop that 128 blocks above where they fall, above the bottom of the drop chute, and that's that. And now let's head down here to the actual collection area and see what we've gotten so far. So originally I had only these two chests here, and as you can see, it started filling up very quickly with items, both this one and a little bit in this one as well. And I thought, okay, I'm going to need some more chests if I ever want to AFK overnight, because this is like an hour. So I added some more chests because I simply could not be bothered to make an actual storage system. But as you can see, about, oh, what is this, like 6 hours? It's on and off. You can see there's quite a bit of stuff in here, including, that time includes all this stuff up here. So this is actually pretty fast. It, like, is more than I expected. It's not huge in terms of rates, all things considered, but hey, there's redstone, there's glowstone, there's gunpowder, all good things. This is actually a faster gunpowder farm than my farm in my base, which is a shame, but whatever, I'll take it. So at some point, I'm going to need an actual storage system, or this storage system. I can't talk. This storage situation is going to drive me crazy. But for now, this will work. I will take my redstone, my free redstone, where I can get it, and I will run with it. So that's all I wanted to talk about today. A little bit of the cobblestone engineering. That's what I decided to call this series of little contraptions I make. Because what exemplifies more the horrendously ugly but basically functional nature of the things that I end up making than the lowliest of blocks, cobblestone.